In just 8 minutes, I'm going to show you the exact system that I developed for myself and used over the last 4 years with hundreds of other guys to not only just lose their belly, but also increase their metabolism and decrease their biological age through having effective lifestyle changes. But before I show you all, you might be watching this thinking, this is easy for you to say, like, you're a fitness coach, you've always been in shape. I was actually 20 kilogram overweight at one point in time, and I lacked all body confidence in myself entirely. I was wearing baggy t-shirts to hide my stomach. I would wear hoodies over the tops that I was wearing so that my stomach wasn't bulging from the t-shirts. And I actually used to hate sitting down in seats because I would be genuinely scared that people would see the fat rolls in my stomach. So I did have a lot of body self-consciousness at one point in time. And I realised that I had to make change and find a way to get myself in better shape, and I did. And that was where my urge to help other people change, because this literally comes down to a choice in terms of how you're living your life day to day. Because what we've built is all about focusing on a transformational change, like not just getting in a bit of a better shape and then not actually learning the skill set to stay in shape and you end up just yo-yoing about. It's about getting the fat off, but truly keeping it off for literally the rest of your life, exactly what we've done with hundreds of other guys. And not just from an aesthetic point of view, but for their physical health, for their gym performance, their stress management, sleep, cognitive functionality, energy levels, confidence, and also their mindset. And that's exactly who this video is actually for. It's for the guys out there who want to fit better in their clothes and actually feel good about going clothes shopping and wearing tops that show off their physique instead of wearing tops that hide their physique. Or maybe you want to look good in the mirror with your top off when you're at the beach or when you're on holiday. Just being proud of how you look instead of feeling constantly disheartened at what you see back in the mirror. And I get it, you've been finding it hard because you're a busy person. Like, you have work and you have social occasions and you don't want to have to put all of that to one side, or you're traveling and you're spending time with the kids, and these things obviously remain a priority, but you also want to learn the skills to be proud of how you look and to be physically strong with a clear mind so that you can show up for your kids and for your family and for your colleagues. Now, if that's you, then this video right here is for you. And the reason that you're probably in this position is exactly what this video is not. See, the chances are you've probably been told 101 different things from 101 different people, and it's just confused you. Like, it's constant paralysis by analysis when it comes to your physique development and your health. And one of the things that you've fallen guilty of is what I've coined as the QRP, which I call the quick restriction protocol. Because I can bet you've been told to cut out all of your carbs, do the keto diet, fast for 24 hours, and you can't even dare to think about going out for a weekend pint or having a meal out with your partner or your family. And you followed it because it did give you quick solutions, hence the name, the quick restriction protocol. But inevitably you've fallen off of it and you've ended up back to square one instead of moving forward where you want to be. And this is literally the main reason why I developed the 3-point sustainable fat loss system that helps you shred the fat without having to completely cut out some of your favorite things. Now, this 3-point fat loss system has most recently worked for lads like Daniel, who works offshore on a very busy schedule, working 12-hour days. And he doesn't have the ability to control all of his sources of food when he's working offshore. And then when he comes home, he runs a busy household. He has 2 kids and he has a partner. And yet, with easy implementation of these systems, he's managed to drop off 10 kilogram of body fat in 14 weeks to lose the belly and actually build a set of abs. On top of that, he's maintaining clear levels of confidence, he's so self-assured, and he has utter clarity in the direction that he's taking his physique journey. And this is exactly how we did it. Point 1 of the 3 is mastering your nutrition. See, most guys think that fat loss must equal restriction. Cut out all of your carbs, don't eat any chocolate, and you definitely can't have any alcohol, and any fun of life, forget about it. But that's why you always fall off, because you're living a life that isn't sustainable for everyone. Now, definitely not myself or the guys that we help inside our coaching. And that was why we really developed the skill set of mastering nutrition for our clients, because once you have this on lock, you become far more equipped in learning how to handle social occasions while still actually seeing fat loss progress. And we all know that it's these weekends and the restriction that is throwing you off. Now, the first part of this is knowing your calories in depth, because without this, you won't be able to lose the belly. And if you understand how many calories to be consuming, then this is how you can learn to fit in your favourite foods and still go on these social occasions without feeling that you've ruined all of your progress. Now, to lose that stubborn belly fat in a sustainable way, you must be in a controlled calorie deficit. I see far too often guys going day one of their fat loss journey and they're eating 1,500 calories, sometimes even less, and wondering why they can't stick to it. You're burnt out. Now, this is really easy to find out. All you need to do is multiply your weight in pounds by certain numbers. If you're sedentary, you don't move often, multiply your weight in pounds by 12. If you're a little bit more active, like you walk and you do 6,000 to 8,000 steps, multiply it by 13 to 14. And if you're active, you go to the gym, you work out, you have an active job, multiply it by 15. From that number, subtract only 300 calories to begin with, which will give you a very small calorie deficit, but it is going to be enough to see you start shifting that lower belly fat and becoming healthier. As time progresses and you start to see that your scale weight stalls or maybe your progress stalls, then you can start subtracting another 100 to 200 as the weeks go on. Now, when it comes to your macros, make sure you keep your protein high at around 0.8 gram per 1 pound of body weight, because this is not only going to help you maintain or build muscle so that when you do lose the belly fat, you'll actually have a desirable physique because you've built some muscle, but it also makes sticking to your deficit so much easier because protein keeps you fuller for longer. It's a slower digesting macronutrient. And if you are fuller for longer and more satiated, then you might eliminate that snacking that you know that you're doing throughout the entire week that is probably putting you into a calorie surplus. When it comes to your fats, have between 40 to 60 gram of fats, and then the remainder of your calories you can just create from your carbohydrates. Fats are not the enemy, guys, and I want that to be something that is known in this video. Fats are so important for your hormonal functioning, for your overall energy levels, and for your cognitive functionality. And I hear you ask, how does this help me lose the belly without feeling like I'm restricting myself? Now, this is where our calorie banking method really comes into play. Because now you're clear on how many calories to be consuming, you know exactly what your weekly calorie target is to be in that calorie deficit and lose the belly. So you can vary these targets each day, which we often do with our clients inside the program, where we encourage everyone to have an off-plan meal mainly at the weekend, which we find actually helps them stay to their calorie deficit much easier without the feeling of guilt or binging or feel like they're throwing their progress way off. And literally all we do for them is maths. We calculate roughly how many calories they're going to be having in their business meeting dinner or their night out, and we divide that number by 5 or 6 and subtract that over the course of the week. Now, this also goes for guys like Dan, who was away with work, or other guys like Brian, who has business meetings often, where we can pick up some of our favourite foods on the go, and we're so clear on the numbers that we're consuming and making sure that it stays within our goals. This is literally taking away all the stress and negative connotations that you have with your diet. And it's like taking a breath of fresh air, knowing what your inputs are. Now, if understanding the numbers is the hard part for you and you don't really know where to start with it, then I'll leave a free diagnostics booking link below for you to get some clarity on your journey. Book in the call. It's a very simple 30-minute chat with me, and it just allows us to get a little bit clearer on like where you're at, where the gaps are, what you need to get yourself started, and the very least you can take some value away. On these calls, if people show up to them, they get a completely free ebook. So book it in and see what we can do. The second point is an efficient training framework. Just like your nutrition, many guys assume that to see progress, they need to dedicate hours and hours to living like a bodybuilder inside the gym. And this is just so far from reality. If you're a dad or you're busy with work, you simply do not have the time to be living that way. And that's fine, because you don't need to in order to see fat loss results. Brian, for example, had 3 40-minute sessions per week and still got abs. Or Greg, for example, who had 4 45-minute sessions per week and he changed his entire physique in just 14 weeks. All busy guys with different things tying them down. Yet through efficiency, they've seen the results. Because it's not just about working harder. You probably heard that before. Just work harder, bro. It's not about that. It's about being efficient with the time that you've got and the effort that you're putting in. Now, when it comes to an effective training framework, there's two main components that you need to be efficient with. And one is your training, two is your overall movement. Now, the easiest thing that I want you to leverage here is your NEAT, your non-exercise activity thermogenesis. This is literally just getting steps. Brian, for example, when he was on calls for his business meetings, whilst taking it, he was going walks. Now, racking up like 6, 7, or even 8,000 steps per day is going to increase your overall calories burned for the day without actually even doing anything. And you're also going to be helping regulate like your mood and your stress levels, which is also massive when it comes to improving your overall health, which is the goal here. And that is key for what we'll talk about in point number 3, so make sure you're sticking around for that. Now, there is such easy ways to fit in more steps, like literally walk 5 minutes of every hour. Take the stairs instead of taking the lift. Park further away in the car park when you're doing, the weekly shop. Even using things like a walking pad in the house will add up so easy steps for you, and it just takes away that thought process. Now, for your gym work, this does not need to be 101 different movements of 101 different sets. You want to be training hard with intensity and intentional with your volume and what you're doing in there. Now, we aim to hit each muscle group with around 10 to 15 sets per week. This, spread over a 3 full body session each week, is very attainable to do. Now, you want to be aiming for your compound movements to be lifting heavy with a smaller rep range. This is things like your bench press, shoulder press, your squat, your deadlifts. And the reason you do this over a smaller rep range is because it's going to have a bigger impact on your overall recovery. It creates a lot of stimulus with very little volume, so that falls under our efficient category. For your smaller muscle groups like your biceps, triceps and delts, you can giant set, compound set or superset these, where you're performing movements back to back with no rest in between. Now, that's going to save you a good 10 to 15 minutes per movement. For example, if you're doing a dumbbell bicep curl for, let's say, 15 reps, you would then go straight into some lateral raises for 15 sets. And you've worked the biceps and the side delts within the space of a small period of time. Do that 3 times over. It's about being efficient instead of trying to cram every movement and then do it 5 times over. This is going to make you so much more metabolically active to literally turn into a fat burning machine alongside your diet. But also it's going to massively boost your energy levels so that you do actually have the energy to play with your kids, or your performance in work, because you're going in there feeling full of energy. You're going to be healthier, stronger and fitter. Now, the next point is one of the most overlooked areas when it comes to losing the belly fat. But by managing this key variable, we have literally helped hundreds of guys, most probably exactly like yourself, lose their belly. And most of them have actually got a set of abs as well. But all of them have become so much more healthier and confident. Like AJ, Dan, Ross, Jack, Brian, and legit hundreds more. This is point number 3. Manage your recovery. Most men chase workouts and diets, but they ignore the other 23 hours in the day. Now, recovery here is the secret sauce that makes fat loss sustainable, energy consistent, and makes your training effective. Now, if you get this part wrong, you will stay stuck. Nail it, and your body will finally work with you instead of against you. Now, when it comes to recovery, sleep is literally your fat loss secret weapon. From a hormone reset perspective, poor sleep jacks up your cortisol, which is your stress hormone. It spikes up your ghrelin, which is your hunger hormone, and it reduces your leptin, which is your fullness hormone, meaning more belly fat and more cravings. In terms of metabolic control, literally one night of bad sleep can massively reduce your insulin sensitivity, which means when we consume foods, our body is more inclined to push the nutrients from this to stored body fat over our muscles, which is what's going to cause you to be soft and pretty fatigued and watery. And then, obvious one from muscle recovery, the growth hormone peaks during sleep. And this is where your body is going to repair muscle and boost your metabolism, which, guess what, makes fat loss so much more progressive and easier. Now, we work with our clients on creating the perfect morning and nighttime schedule that works for them. Like, some of these lads work very stressful and busy jobs, so being able to be efficient with that 20-minute pre-bed routine is so vital to being switched on, recovered, and ready to go and attack it come the next morning. But beyond sleep, it's also about what hat you're wearing that reduces your build-up of stress. And no, I don't mean like an actual cap, but where you're putting your mental focus. And this is where having something built out becomes super important for those guys who are busy and they do have decision fatigue and they're wearing the dad cap, the busy guy at work cap, the partner cap, the driving the kids around to gymnastics or football or dancing cap. So actually developing some structure beyond just what you're training and what you're eating really helps moderate that buildup of anxiety and stress, which is what often causes most guys to fall off their consistency and land themselves into binges, yo-yos, and the typical I'll start again on Monday routine. So it lifts that restriction for these guys where they maybe felt guilty beforehand when trying to get into shape because they thought that they were taking time away from their loved ones. But as we always say inside our community, you cannot pour from an empty cup. Now, I know that the most important thing for you watching this right now is your time and finding a solution to the way that you've been feeling right now without having to feel like you're bending over backwards to get it. And that's why I'm offering the free diagnostics call so that you can actually find out about our 3-point system. Like, would it even make sense for you? Will it move the belly fat, take away the low energy and the worries you've got around your health, and enjoy the process of doing it most importantly. Now, like I mentioned prior, I want to make sure that when you're on the call, you're getting value, even if you feel that the system might not suit you, which is fine, so that when you pick a slot to have that call with me, you know, I want to make sure that you get that copy of the ebook. It's our complete fat loss guide that covers my 4 years of experience and actions into like a 30-odd page book so that you can sift through it in your own time, and I'll make sure that no matter what happens on our call, you're going to get a copy of that. Now, hopefully this video has been of value for you. As per, please like and subscribe. Now, if there's any other educational videos around fat loss or muscle building that you want to see, you can either head over to my Instagram and follow me at Kane Coaching or leave a comment below telling me what you want to see. And I'll see you in the next one.